Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we are doing a bolt action 2nd edition boot camp. We are doing the final video, and this video is how do you want to play the game? That's the title of this video. How do you want to play the game? It's not how do you play the game, it's how do you want to play the game. I typed up a long script for this video, telling, put my thoughts down on how I thought, or what I thought I should say, how I should say it, how should I be politically correct when I say this, how should I ease you into it. But I decided just to wad that piece of paper up. I threw it away. This is just going to be a casual, me telling you like it is, from the horse's mouth to the new player. If you're a new player, understand that this is kind of giving you a warning. And if you're a veteran player, you probably have already seen this for yourself, and this is just going to reinforce it or give you a different perspective of why this might be happening. Okay. Let's talk about miniature gaming in general. Miniature gaming, and bolt action is no exception. Miniature gaming is a thinking man's game. It's a game where you have to use you crunch numbers. You have to do your own math. You don't have a computer there giving you all the answers. You don't have a computer there as your opponent to move its troops around a digital map. You don't have a computer there telling you that that guy is in line of sight and that guy's not. You don't have a computer telling you that it is 60 degrees, 30 degrees, 45 degrees. All that has to be done by the player. And so the players have to be, in general, they tend to be smarter. You tend to be more of a thinker. If you're a wargamer, a miniature wargamer, you tend to have a little bit more brain power, to be honest. Okay? Okay, now what does that mean? Well, in the good old days, before computers, people were making models. They were playing with plastic model kits. They were getting their Airfix models out, their little Airfix plastic troops. They were gluing them on bases. They were measuring with rulers, rolling dice. You had metal miniatures. People were playing even a fantasy game or ancients games. You were doing all of this on a tabletop. You didn't have all the models. You played a World War II game, but all you had were Germans and Americans. You didn't have that Finnish troop. You didn't have those Italians. You didn't have a tank. You didn't have a Panzer III J1. All you had was a Panzer IV, or a Panther or a Tiger, because those were the most popular tanks. So in the old days, you had to either scratch build your own models, or you had to have a little bit of imagination. You didn't have all these terrain companies out there making buildings that you could take the roofs off and put guys inside. Okay, so over the years, the game industry has grown a huge amount. Right now, you are in the golden age of miniature wargaming. Right now, we're in it. You can find almost any nation, you can find troops in almost every scale. You can, from any genre. I got pike and shot guys. I got ancient guys. I got prehistoric guys. I got futuristic guys. I got guys in the 80s, the 70s, the 40s. I've got guys, from World War I, World War II, Vietnam. I got it all. I live in a golden age of miniature wargaming right now. There are companies out there that are making buildings. I don't have to scratch build them, even though I love to do scratch building, as you already know. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're interested in bolt action, or any other World War II game, or any other historical game, now's the time to get into it. Let's talk about bolt action. Okay, this is what this video is about. It's bolt action boot camp. Talk about how do you want to play this game. I'm still getting there. I'm kind of beating around the bush to kind of give you a reason why I'm about to say what I'm about to say. Because you can have it all. You can do it all. The thinking process, before you had to think about, building the models, painting the models, which a lot of people like myself still love. That's one of the reasons why we're in the game. We build the models. We paint the models. That's half the hobby for us. I build the terrain. But there are people out there that could care less about what their model looks like or how it impacted a historical situation. Like how it actually was used in World War II. They could care less about that. All they care about is, and that's not me, that's why I say they, and it might or might not be you. All they care about is the game and how those units are used in the game and what their characteristics and capabilities are in the game, and not how they were used in actual World War II or how they, what the history behind them was, what the story behind them was. Okay, and so that player will have a tendency to, this is a term that I've used affectionately throughout my career, min-max. So they'll take the minimum requirements to get the maximum potential. You'll see a lot of people do that when it comes to point-based anything. When I have to design an army, when I have the capability, 40K had this, Fantasy has that, I'm talking about Warhammer. Any game, okay, Field of Glory has that because you got points. Napoleonics has that because you could buy units with points. Basically, any game that has a point value system, it's going to draw this thinking man out of his... It's going to draw a type of thinking man into the rabbit hole, the black hole. It's going to suck them down, and they're not even going to realize it. And this is a forewarning. Hopefully you don't fall into this category. Don't be that guy. The guy that takes an army. I'm just gonna use the German army as an example, okay? They take a German army. Or in this game it's really any army. You can take, and as you know through watching the first 11 videos, you know that you have a certain number of order dice in your bag. You have a certain number of dice in the bag based on how many units you have in your army, so that when you set up on your table, you say, okay, I've got 12 units, I put 12 dice in the bag, my opponent has 11 units, he puts 11 dice in the bag, and then you draw dice out, and that's how you move around, right? Okay. It is suggested in this book, and I strongly suggest you use this rule. It's only a suggestion, though. If you run a tournament, please use the rule. Please. I'm asking you to use this rule. Because it will stop those min-maxers. And this is the rule that they recommend. When you buy a set of order dice, you get, how many do you get? You get 12. You get 12 order dice. To have more than 12, you would have had to have bought 2 or more sets. Okay. that limits you to having only 12 units, right? Okay. But not really. And I'm going to try to get into this. I'm going to try to explain the reason why I'm saying that. I'm beating around the bush. Hopefully, I don't have my script. I crumbled it up, threw it away. Please bear with me. Okay. Let me step back a second. If you're a min-maxer and you want to manipulate the game in a way that gives you an advantage over your opponent in a tournament, because all you care about is winning the game and not enjoying yourself or enjoying a historical encounter, then do this thing I'm about to talk about. Okay. There's a couple of different ways you can play the game. And this is the topic of the video. I'm sorry. You almost have to watch this whole thing and splice it together, okay? I'm really sorry. I don't want to spoil it by going straight to the end without explaining everything. If you know the way I don't even know the way my mind works, but okay. There's a couple of different ways you can play this game. You can play it historically, where you're using historical encounters. You pick scenarios from campaign books. You have armies that are designed after real historical units. You know, you paint them up with the right markings and symbols, and the uniform colors are all that. Or you could design an army to win games. It's not always, it can be the same thing, but it's not always the same thing. There are players out there. I'm not saying I'm not one of these guys, because I think I have a tendency to do it subconsciously, but when I realize I'm doing it, I slap myself, I get up, I run around the house, and I scream at myself. I try to build armies that are fun to play. Like, ooh, I want to put this in my... It will suck. It'll be the worst unit ever, but I'm putting them in there because nobody else is doing it. I kind of do that, and I only do that occasionally, but sometimes I'll do that. Or I'll say, okay, this is the 2nd Panzer Division. They should have 8-man squads and not 10-man squads. They should be in the new 251s and not the old 251s, you know, and I'll design my army to match historically what they should match. And am I looking at the points? Am I trying to decide how many points a certain unit is based on? No, I could care less about what the points are. I'm designing it by how historically accurate it is. Then there's that player, and I'm just going to say, there are players out there that say, okay, if I take a 5-man squad, I could get 2 of them and get 2 5-man squads, and then each one of them is allowed to have 2 machine guns, so I could have a sergeant and 2 machine guns and the 2 assistant gunners, and that is a squad. No, it's not. It is. The game allows it. Veterans can have a minimum of 5 guys, and they can have up to 2 machine guns, and then 2 guys automatically become their assistant, and then you got your NCO, and what the hell, might as well give them an assault rifle, right? And so now I'm rolling like 12 dice for a 5-man group. And there will be people out there that design their entire army on that. You know, they'll have 6 squads that have 6 squads that only have 5 guys in them. They'll make sure that they get the major and the 1st lieutenant, and or maybe not, you know, but they're looking for those extra order dice is what I'm trying to say. Then they might pick like a half-track and a Kubel wagon, or some really cheap transports and cheap weapons. I might grab a Panzerschreck and basically they will get the maximum number of troops that they could possibly get for the minimum number of points. And what that does is, in the game, this is the one thing I'm afraid of in the game. It gives them a number of dice, and depending on how many points you allow as a tournament organizer, let's say you're saying that you're allowing 1,500 points. I saw a tournament that, this is before I started playing, but I saw this tournament, and this kind of clued me into a potential that this could be a problem. It was a 1,500 point tournament, and they put in the tournament rules no more than 19 order dice in your army. 19! I said it. 19. It's hard to get 19. I watched a couple of videos of guys saying, hey, we're going to this tournament, and I've organized my army, and I had 21 dice. So I had to tone it back, and I had to make this 5-man squad a 7-man squad, so I only had 19 dice. That's not how I want to play bolt action. That's not how I want to play. I don't want to min-max the army lists to get armies that are designed to win tournaments. That's not why I play bolt action. That's not why I'm planned to play bolt action. I use these rules to recreate World War II scenarios, battles. I have a number of scenario books from a company called Skirmish Campaigns. 100% strongly love these. I probably should do some videos on these. Okay, they usually have about 20 scenarios in a book of Skirmish Campaigns. These Skirmish Campaign books, let's just say Heroes of the Orne River. There's a book that all of the scenarios are based around the British paratroopers on D-Day. So you had the Pegasus Bridge scenario, you got Bennoville, you got the Canadians and the artillery pieces, you got 6 airborne dropping over here. A ton of these, and they give you the map, and it's based on a game, man-to-man. It's based on man-to-man scenarios. It tells you you have like 1 machine gun, 2 flamethrowers, a guy with a Kar 98, another guy with an AR, or whatever. And so you don't even have to use any points. And they tell you, okay, this is where they are, they're deployed over here, or you can set up in this area, and they give you maps, and the maps are usually 4 feet by 6 feet, same as bolt action, and you got your buildings, and they say make these 2-story buildings, so it perfectly meshes with bolt action. Has nothing to do with points. I love that. And then you actually are playing a scenario from an actual battle that actually transpired. Okay. But that you don't always have the luxury of that. Okay? Sometimes you and your buddy get together and say, hey, let's play some bolt action. Okay, cool. What do you want to do? Let's play 1,000 points. Let's put an army together and play. Okay, cool. So we put an army together. He shows up and he's got his British para. I show up and I got my American para. Screw it, let's play, right? And it's okay. It's a hypothetical, What if America went on the side with Germans or whatever? You're basically using a historical game to recreate a fictional, never happened kind of battle. That's okay. That's okay. But that's not why I play bolt action. I play bolt, and that's not how I want to play bolt action. And that's what I'm trying to get at with you guys. How are you going to play bolt action? You need to know. Because if you're a min-maxer, and there's nothing wrong with being a min-maxer. Let me back that up. It's not uncommon to be a min-maxer. Okay? I personally don't think min-maxers are good for the game. But if it brings more players into the game, and more players are playing, and that gives me more opponents, I'm okay with that. If it encourages people to go to tournaments and they're playing in national organized play, I encourage that. I might not like it. I might not prefer to play that way, but everybody has fun in a different way, right? And if you want to play, and this is a longer video, and I'm sorry, but this is just me sitting with you in the living room having a chat about bolt action. So, in the book, this is the rule that I want tournament organizers. If you're watching this, I want you to know this. Let me go to this rule. It's not really a rule, it's a suggestion. Okay, we're not going to talk about multiplayer games. That's cool too. I have a bunch of friends. Maybe you do too. And you want to play a game of bolt action, but all of them want to play. Okay. Hey, you take these two squads. You take these two squads. Let's go. Right? You take these two. You take that tank and artillery piece, and let's do it. That's cool. Or, if they all have their own armies, hey, you bring a 500-point army, you bring a 500-point army, we'll all bring 500-point armies, we'll team up, and then we'll play. Awesome, right? Love it. You can do that. Not enough order dice. Here it is. Okay, page 213. Not enough order dice. It says, the most common problem is having more units in your force than you have order dice for. Okay, well, it says, well, obviously you need to buy more order dice. Okay, well, that's cool. That's going to make money for them. And that's what people do in these 19 order dice tournaments. But I recommend, if you want your games to be faster, okay, because it takes a lot of time to pull 19 times 2, almost 40 dice, 38 dice are being pulled out of the order bag. That takes a lot of time. I've got a one-man squad here, and he takes his order. Now I pull another die. This one man here moves and takes another. That's going to take forever. It's better to say I pull a die and I move these 10 guys. It's faster. In a tournament, that's important because you're on a time limit, right? You don't want to go through 2 turns and then have the thing go, okay, time, who won? No. So by lowering the number of order dice, you actually speed everyone's game up. Here it goes. Also, you can use normal dice as your order dice. As you know, if they're 6-sided dice, if you put 6-sided dice, same size as your opponent's 6-sided dice in there, when you pull, you can have hundreds of dice in there. It doesn't matter, right? If you're going to use order dice, and I'm going to tell you, I've got good feeling, okay? If you're going to put order dice from one player in there, make sure you put order dice from all players in there, because I can tell the difference between a D6 and an order die. Even if they're shaped, even if they have the round curves and stuff, I can feel the words, and I can feel the numbers. So don't allow one player to have normal dice and another player to have order dice. Don't do that. Okay, but if you don't want to use dice and you don't want to have more than 12 order dice, which is what I recommend, here it is. You should not let that deter you from playing the game. Set an order die limit. A maximum number of dice. Say 12. Which conveniently is the amount that you get in an order dice pack. Okay, so as a tournament organizer, if you say the maximum number of order dice you can have is 12, no one out there in the universe will stress about it because they should have at least one pack of order dice. But if you say the order die limit is 19, that's forcing your players to buy 2 packs. Every one of them. If you're like a retailer and you're selling order dice, I can see where you could say 13 is your limit because you're trying to sell order dice. But that's not right. Okay. I used to be a retailer. I'm not a retailer anymore. But those thoughts had gone through my mind when I was a retailer. Okay. But imagine you set, now this is the rule. This is the rule. Even though you set the limit to 12, you don't have to limit the players to 12 units. Let them have their 19 units. Hell, let them have their 21 units. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because they've only got 12 dice in the bag. So, I've got my 19 units on the table, and I'm drawing my dice. When you run out of dice, the rest of your troops are done. They don't move. They can't do anything. They can't even go down. Why? Because you can't pull another die out. So what will that do? It'll cause players to maybe consider bigger units. Because now they can only pull 12 dice. So they're going to make sure that their unit numbers are down to 12, which forces them to have bigger units, which bigger units is, I'm not going to say more accurate, but it makes the min-maxer obsolete, or not obsolete, but it puts a crimp on the min-maxer. Because let's go back to that veteran German squad. If I can have a squad of 5 and 2 of them can be machine guns, now by increasing my size of my unit, the percentage of machine guns to non-machine guns is now lower. So because I could have up to 10 guys with now only 2 machine guns. So now that's only 1 machine gun per 5 instead of 2 per 5. See what I'm saying? Okay. People still might not go to 10. They might go to 4, 8, or whatever, but that's fine. You're limiting them to 12 die. There's a rule advantage for having a full squad. If you go with a full squad, pin markers don't affect you. You know, there's a rule about you don't take a penalty for pins when you start with a full squad, when you're doing your order test, because pins don't really affect you that much. It's when you start taking casualties that those pins will affect you. But if you have 10 guys in your squad, or a full squad, it has to be a full squad. I know this video's gone on a little while, but we're not really talking about army lists, okay? You're going to have to look at the army that you want to play and play it, you know? If you want to play, and you have to figure out the way you want to play it. Do you want to play historical scenarios? Do you want to be a referee that provides all the players in your club with the game, where you show up and say, hey, let's play some bolt action today. I brought all my stuff. I've got the table set up, and I got the army set up. Hey, Joe and Bill, you're the Americans, and John and Bob, you're the Germans, and this is the scenario, and run it? Is that the kind of player you want to be? Do you want to be the guy that builds his German army and says, okay, I want to have all flak because that's where I'm going to get the most amount of firepower, and I want to have the most number of order dice because I'm going to have the smallest units? Is that the kind of player you want to be? You have to think about that. Do you want to be the guy that you know that somebody else is in your game club that loves bolt action and he's playing Americans, and you're thinking to yourself, man, I would really love to play bolt action, and I know he's got Americans and he's got Russians, so if I take Germans, I'll always have an opponent because I could play either one of them whenever, you know? So yeah, let me put some, and now you're the linchpin. You're the guy they're always calling to play because you've got the army that can go anywhere. Or do you want to be that guy that just really loves airborne operations and wants to play the British Para? You think all their missions were very super exciting and dangerous, so you want to reenact those battles? Is that the kind of player you want to be? Do you want to have multiple armies? You know, do you want to have an American army, a German army, a Russian army, because you just love the entire World War II and you want to have a little bit of everything? You're a completionist. Okay. Is that the kind of person you are? Are you a completionist? You know, whichever one of those you choose, None of them are wrong. They're all right. So they're all right. So what I'm saying is, don't worry about it. If you want to be that guy that min-maxes, hell with it. Min-max. You know what? If you min-max and you like to go to tournaments and you go to a tournament and you win and you win, and you have beautifully, okay, don't go to a tournament. Don't be a min-maxer and not have beautifully painted models. Oh, okay. Now we're going into another realm. I almost like ended this video prematurely. Don't be that guy that shows up with his entire army spray painted green or spray painted gray. Oh, no, no, no. No. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Okay, let's say you're not a min-maxer. Okay, if I go to a tournament, right, and there's a guy over on the other side, and he's got a Sherman, he's got a squad of, British paratroopers, and then he might have a little bit of partisans in his army or whatever, some Chisnits or whatever, Chisnits, Chindits, okay, in his army, and it's like, what the hell? He's gonna get wiped out. This is what I'm thinking to myself. And they're not painted. I would be more forgiving for that guy because he's trying. He's playing. He's trying to play the game. It's all good. I might give him some advice afterwards. Say, hey, if you get rid of this unit and you add this or that, that's the kind of player I would be. Or I would be like, I wouldn't care if his army's like not fully painted. If they're all painted like army English uniform green or whatever, that'd be fine. But if a player shows up and his army is min-maxed, I mean just completely min-maxed, and I go, oh my God, I can't believe he's got 25 order dice, and like every one of those units has got 4 Panzerfausts, or whatever. And he's just going to totally destroy me. Well, you got 4 machine guns, 15 Panzerfausts in every unit, and his NCO's like a superhero. And then they're not painted? I would probably pack my army up and say, okay, you win. I don't even give a shit. You're a douchebag. You're the worst kind of gamer there is. But if he's a min-maxer, okay, I'm giving you all these scenarios. If he's a min-maxer and his army is totally maxified out, but they look beautifully painted, I might forgive it. I might like, damn, you did a really good job of painting those guys. And you're really good at building an army. Damn, it's going to be tough. Oh, let me figure this out. Let's fight it out. I'll still have a lot of fun. But if they're not painted and he min-maxes, it's like you're double dipping into the negative pool. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. Okay. There are some tournaments that say you can't play unless you're painted armies. What's the definition of painted armies? If I spray paint them, isn't that painted? Okay. But some players just don't know how to paint, too. I mean, not everybody's a good painter. And you can't force them to be a good painter. But you got to have some kind of attempt at painting. They just show up with pewter models at the table. No. Don't be that guy. Okay, so my final thoughts after I hear me rant about all that stuff. How do you want to play? What kind of game do you want to play? Do you want to be that tournament guy? Do you want to be that game club guy? Do you want to be the tournament organizer? Do you want to be the guy that wins tournaments? And back to winning a tournament. If you're a min-maxer and you have a beautifully painted army, that's how I got put on that sidetrack. If you're a min-maxer and you have beautifully painted armies because you just like the genre, you think World War II is cool and you love painting models, but you also are a thinker and you know how to build your armies, and everybody says you're a min-maxer when really you're just subconsciously picking the best stuff, and you're winning all those tournaments, what's going to happen is you're going to get a name for yourself. Yeah, hopefully it's a good one and not a bad one. But if you're making a good name, like, man, I don't ever want to play against this guy because he's the greatest bolt action player and he's going to kill me, man. He's got a great army. That's one thing. But if I go, man, I don't want to play against this guy because that guy, man, he abuses the rules. He knows every inside and out of the rules, and he's going to use every rule against you. And if that's not the kind of guy I want to play against. There's something I used to call back in the day, and I think it's still a viable term. It was called rules lawyers. They knew every page of every rule in every book, right? And you should know that anyway. You really should know that, and it's really everybody's obligation to know the rules. So really that's an unfair label because you really should already, the rules are written for a reason. You should already know the rules. But there's a way, a personality trait of bringing that forward and telling someone, well, on page 245, you know, it says that I save on a 4 or better. That's different than saying, hey man, I think I save on a 4 or better, you know, or hey, my guys are good, man, they save on a 4 or better. That's different than saying, you're wrong, you're an idiot. They save on 4 or better. Here, check it out. I know where the page is on the rule. See, look right here. They say, see, there's a difference. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. All right, so let's do some final thoughts. This is the final video. Now, there's a program out there that I strongly recommend you use. I really, really, really strongly recommend it. A lot of other bolt action players will say that it's one of the best programs out there. If you want to donate to them to support their website, do it. It's a good cause. This company, the website is Easy Army. Okay, check out Easy Army, bolt action Easy Army. I don't know the exact link. I'll put it somewhere in the video, hopefully. It's bolt action Easy Army. It helps you. It's an army builder website, not a software. You don't have to download anything. You go to this website. It's got drop downs. You pick like what your army is, what army book it came out of, and then you build your platoons, right? And you can have up to like 6 platoons, but each platoon's got minimums that you have to have in it, like normal. But you go to the platoon, you say, okay, I'm going to have 5 guys, I want to have 2 machine guns, I want to have 4 Panzerfausts, and it says, this is how many points it is. And then you click save, then you go to the next squad, you go, I want to have 5 guys, and then you keep doing it. And then you say, I want to have a tank, I want to have a Tiger, I want to have a machine gunner, and whatever. And it tells you exactly how many points your army is. It tells you how many order dice you need. It tells you everything. And then when you go to print it, when you print it, you get your little army list right here. It's all printed and it tells you everything that you got. But on the second page, it tells you all the special abilities. So if your guy's a fanatic, or if he's a tough fighter, or it's an assault weapon, or anything like that, it has all the stats on the second page. So it's like if you print that army list out, you'll know everything about your army without having to reference the book. There are other places out there that I think it's Warlord Games, I think you can go. If not, you can Google it. There's a couple of people out there that have made quick reference sheets for bolt action. These reference sheets that are on the back are too big and they take up too much space. They made some like 2-sheeters where they've taken all these charts, they shrunk them down, they took all the wording that's in here and they kind of condensed it into a, they took the pictures off for one thing, and then you make it so that all the rules can be put on like 2 pages. I strongly recommend downloading and printing every one of those and handing, like if you have a bunch of players, giving every player one so that they can follow along the game and they know what all the modifiers are and stuff like that. Those reference sheets are invaluable. Easy Army is a great place to print off your army lists. I haven't seen any mistakes yet. I've only seen accuracy there. It's a good program. All right, so that was Bolt Action Boot Camp, we've gone through everything about bolt action. Now there are a lot of Army books and there are campaign books. I haven't gone over those through the boot camp. I don't think those are important for the information that you need to play bolt action in the boot camp. But I will have other videos and reviews of all these other books. And when we do our battle reports and our battles, which I think in like 2 weeks we're going to have this pretty big battle down at the game store. So I need to get ready for that. So when we do all those, you'll see follow-up videos. But other than that, thank you for watching Bolt Action Boot Camp. Recommend it to your other friends that you might think are interested in bolt action. If they want to learn how to play, don't have the rules, tell them to watch the first video and follow along. I know these videos are like 30 minutes long a piece, but once you get through all 12 of them, you will know every rule in the book minus army lists. Alright, thanks for coming out and checking out this series, and I'll see you on the table.